Have you ever wondered why your photo looks flat and boring while other photographers' photos feel like you are transported into the scene? Usually those photos, they have an atmosphere. There is depth, there is dimension, and really the light is shaped, which makes the photo transport you instead of feeling flat and boring. It does not come from a better camera, it does not come from a better lens, and usually it also does not come from better light on location. Which means you could totally get your boring flat photo to feel alive as well. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to sculpt the light in any of your photos. You will see that it really doesn't take that long, but it can really change how your photos feel. So let me show you what I mean on this photo. I'm going to use Camera Raw, which is the exact same thing as Lightroom. So if you are a Lightroom user, please use Lightroom. Everything I'm going to do here, you can also do it. And if you are a Photoshop user, well, you're gonna also use Camera Raw. So here I have this photo, and you can see this photo is pretty boring. The composition is not even great, but anyways, here the light has really nothing interesting. So we are going to try to shape the light to make it interesting and to make this subject pop a little more. So I'm going to go straight to the mask section, and I'm going to try to shape the light around the subject to make it pop. So first thing first, here when I zoom in on the subject, I can see that there are nice highlights here on the left side of the face. So even though here the day is a very moody day, there is not much light, we can say that there is kind of a bit of light coming from the left side. So we are going to emphasize that. For that, I'm going to take a radial gradient, and I'm creating a gradient that is kind of big. What I want is to create a nice and very soft light, because here there is no harsh sun, so that would be very unnatural to add like a sunlight that is very strong. Here I'm going to imagine that the middle of my radial gradient is the sun. Do we see the sun on this image? No. That's why I want the sun, my source of light, to be outside of my image. So here I'm just going to change the direction of my radial gradient, put the little sun further away, and I just want a little bit of sunlight, of light going to touch my subject here. So once it's placed, I can change the lights by adding a bit of exposure. I want to warm a little bit the light, so I'm going to change the temperature, go more towards warm light like this. And then I can also go to effect if I want to have this light to be a little softer. Maybe dehaze a little bit. Okay. And then you can just adjust the mask the way you want. Okay. So for now, I'm gonna keep the effect like this. I can always go back later and change the settings. Now I want to do the opposite of what I just did. To emphasize light, usually a great way to do so is to also work on shadows. So I want to work shadows on the opposite side of this light. This time I'm going to use a linear gradient, and I'm just going to click and drag, and it's creating my gradients. And so we added some light here, and this time we're gonna want to add shadows on this part. Also, our subject is here. Everything that is here on the right side of my image is not that interesting. We don't need the viewer to look at this area specifically. So here I'm going to go down with exposure, add some contrast, maybe cool down a bit even this area, and reduce a bit the saturation. The brightest and the most saturated area in one image is what is going to capture the eye of your viewer. So if you reduce a bit the saturation of an area that is not that interesting, it's always better, especially if you also reduce the exposure. And now I want to show you that just with two masks, look what it does. Before and after. Automatically now, instead of not knowing where to look, we're gonna look at the face of our subject, before and after. Now I just want to add one more thing. I'm going to create another radial gradient, and I want to create a little vignette. But without using, here you can see in effect you have vignette, but it's going to create a vignette around the whole image. In my case, I want to create a vignette around my subject. So that's why I'm going to create a radial gradient. Here I'm going to make sure I don't see my subject anymore. So something like this, and I'm going to invert my mask. So everything that is red, this is what the mask affects. So here I want to invert it. So I click on the three dots, invert mask, and now it's going to affect only the edges, everything that is red. And I'm going down with exposure. Maybe add a little bit of contrast. And now I have a nice vignette, but it doesn't affect my subject. And now you can see the wall before and after. And now this image has a lot more dimension thanks to the light shaping. Of course, here, this is not the end of the edit. You will need to do the color grading, the cleaning, and a bit more editing. But just with the mask section, we already been shaping the image quite a lot. So that's the move. Now, if you want to actually edit along with me for the next one, you can download the 3 photos I'm using. The link is in the description so you can follow along. It will automatically enroll you in my 20-day mini challenge where I send you 1 tip per day to improve your photography. Okay, let's do the second one. So now I'm going to show you the same with a bit less explanation, but to show you that it really works on any type of image. Here I can see that the sun seems to come from the left as well, because there is a lot of light here and more shadows here on the hat. So I'm going to do the same, a little radial gradient in this direction. The center outside of the image, maybe something wider here. Also warmer like that. Okay, and then the opposite with a linear gradient. If you don't want the linear gradient to affect the subject, what you can do is to go to Subtract and select Subject. And so now, here it's been removing my subject from my linear gradient. And this is a great way to don't affect directly the subject. Then I'm going to create my vignette. And I'm going down with exposure, add a bit more contrast, and reduce the saturation a bit. And here you can see the wall before and after. Before and after, it adds a nice dimension. I do think there is a bit too much warmth here. Okay, this is before and this is after. I'm going to show you with one more image where here the light is really flat, but we are going to fix that. So here I'm going to start with a linear gradient here on the bottom of the image. Going to close the image like that. And I'm going to add the light coming from the right for this time. And you can see this is before and this is after, before and after. And once again, the only thing that I did is adding some mask to shape the light. So this is before and after with this image here, before and after. And this one, this is before and after. Now that you know how to shape the light in your photos, you of course need to keep editing. Do some cleaning, do some color grading. I've got loads of color grading tutorials here on this channel. if you are interested in learning more about color grading. And I also have a course that is called the Color Code. This is my color grading course for photographer. The link will be in the description. I would highly appreciate it if you can like this video, subscribe to the channel, maybe add a little comment if you liked it. This is entirely free to do that and it does support my work. I see you in the next video.